Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. So I wanted to do this video a lot earlier, but I had the flu last week, and that kind of threw everything out of control. Like all of our plans were way behind on Christmas. My wife's been doing a ton of stuff while I've been at work this week. So I'm doing this is my year-ender. My favorite new releases of 2022. Now these are the ones that I bought in physical form. All of them are on vinyl. And we're gonna break it up into 3 sections. So the first grouping of albums that I'm gonna be talking about are all albums by artists, bands that I've been listening to for at least 15 years, if not longer. A lot of them for 20 plus years. And I was really pleasantly surprised by the output of these artists at this point in their career and how great it was. And the first one I'm going to talk about is actually, I'm cheating a little bit, I guess. Not really cheating, whatever. We're not playing a game here. But it's a side project, and it's an album that a lot of people have kind of considered one of their favorites this year, and it's A Smile. A side project of Johnny Greenwood and Tom York from Radiohead, along with Tom Skinner, who is in Sons of Kemet. Very pleasantly surprised by this album. And I heard a couple of the advanced tracks, and I was like, yeah, they're pretty good. But then when you hear them in the context of the whole album, it's a brilliant record. The guitar work by Johnny Greenwood on this album is some of his best in a while. I think. Of course, Tom York's vocals are gorgeous, and then the kind of electronics and drum work of Tom Skinner. Fantastic record, deserves all of the praise that it is getting. I feel like some of the songs do kind of sound like Radiohead tracks that I feel like I've kind of heard before, but it's the more kind of experimental tracks, the more kind of guitar-driven tracks that really are, it's them really offering something different. And I'd say it's my favorite side project of anything that the members of Radiohead have done. All right, the next record is by another band that I've been listening to for many years, one of my favorite bands, listening to them for over 20 years, but it's Built to Spill. Project of Doug Marsh. This is When the Wind Forgets Your Name. That cover is absolutely insane. I first saw that artwork and I was like, what the hell is that? But it's actually kind of grown on me. And also, you know, the music on this record kind of has like this kind of psychedelic haze to it. Much more prominently than anything in their previous discography. Some of the production techniques and like recording techniques sound kind of vintage. Now, 2 of the guys that play with him on this are from the band Arua from Brazil. And that's a band that I got into a couple of years ago because I learned about them through Doug Marsh. They opened and toured with him in 2019. I believe they've done it a couple of times since. I mean, it's Built to Spill, you know. I'm not gonna lie, it is a Built to Spill record. There's not a lot of new territory being explored, but you know, what Doug Marsh does, he does really well. The next record is by a Canadian artist I've been listening to again for many years. Project of Dan Bejar, Destroyer. I think it's his best record since Kaput, which came out in 2011. It's called Labyrinthitis. Again, the usual kind of fare where Dan Bejar really kind of like creates his own kind of world. He is a singular artist, living in his own world. Heavy on kind of like electronics and synth. This is also a lot more danceable. His album Kaput, which came out in 2011, kind of had this kind of Roxy music mixed with yacht rock kind of thing going on. This is a little bit more, this is a little heavier, a little bit edgier than that, and but it has some of those same kind of elements from that record. But yeah, this is just, again, another fantastic record by Dan Bejar, Destroyer.
Tintoretto is for you. The ceiling's on fire, and the contract is binding your little one sick. At the sight, insert 3 syllables here at night. They drop you from a great height into a war that you were born to lose.
The next one is Inside Problems by Andrew Bird. Again, another favorite artist of mine, but an artist that a lot of times I find his albums to be kind of problematic. He doesn't really have a ton of albums in his discography that I find consistently great from start to finish, like every single song. But this is one. And this is one that really, has not really been getting a lot of fanfare, a lot of praise, and I feel like it's kind of flying under the radar. I think it's his best record since 2007's Armchair Apocrypha. Topically, the songwriting is a little bit more insular, a little bit more personal. He's known for very grand arrangements, with lots of layers of sound, and kind of like a chamber pop kind of sound. He plays violin as well as guitar. He's a multi-instrumentalist. Incredible whistler, and he uses all of those things, sometimes all at the same time. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some movements and grand arrangements on it, but for Andrew Bird, it's a very stripped back sound, and there's a lot of space. I don't know, I really enjoy that. It has a live sound to it.
Listen to the cries of the pliable populace, giving us a dirty loaf, giving us a dirty loaf. Dirty loaves, now they're giving us a dirty loaf. Make a picture, make it snappy. Make a picture, don't look so happy. All those scowling faces, all those furrowed brows, all those burnout cases, make them take a bow. By some smiling faces, morning shows how, never mind the braces, love you anyhow, love you anyhow, love you anyhow.
All right, the next one is an album by Panda Bear and Sonic Boom, 2 artists that I've been listening to for many, many years. This is the first record where they're both the featured artists. It's a collaboration, a pure collaboration. Now, Sonic Boom did play on and I believe produced Panda Bear's Panda Bear versus the Grim Reaper, I believe was the name of it. And this has a lot of the kind of things that you're used to hearing from Panda Bear, some of those kind of like Beach Boy, Brian Wilson kind of melodies. They're using a lot of samples of late 50s, kind of early 60s R&B songs. It's a really, really fun record with some really sunny melodies. Kind of wish it had come out in the summer. It ended up coming out later in the year. But still, those sunny melodies have kind of come in handy at this time of the year. And then 2 of my favorite bands put out records this year. One I don't have in physical form because it hasn't been released yet, but I did pre-order it, and that is Wilco's Cruel Country. One of my most listened to records this year, streamed it a ton. The whole family is kind of a fan of Wilco. We're a Wilco household. And then the other one is by Spoon, Lucifer on the Sofa. And Spoon's one of my favorite bands. Been listening to them for well over 20 years. Rock and roll is not dead. That's pretty much what I can say about this. A lot of the songs I've heard Britt Daniel talk about, he wanted to write some songs that kind of paid homage to different sounds of Texas throughout the years. You really hear that on The Hardest Cut, The Devil and Mr. Jones. They're kind of classic kind of rock sounds. My Babe. But there's also really kind of like spacey atmospheric stuff. On the second side with Astral Jacket, the title track, Closing. It's just another brilliant Spoon record. These guys just continue to write music that just keeps sucking me back into rock and roll. I can't abandon it as long as these guys are still making music.
Careful standing by, you're looking for good. Set your sight for later, won't forget. Now you got you working, throwing dice way everybody. Saving up for what he is selling. Mr. Jones, he got the bags. You can carry yourself to hell. Yourself to hell.
Digital gramophone makes no sense.